I'm gonna crush this beer, then I'm gonna show you how to tie a fly with it. There's a meme that's been going around fishing social media where this beer company has instructions on the side of their beer can how to turn the pull tab into a fishing hook. And I thought it was funny, and I looked it up to see if people had done this before. And it turns out it is a popular survival hack to create a hook if you're stranded in the wilderness or something. But then I thought about how impractical it is in real life, because where are you ever going to be stranded where you need one, a can, and two, some fishing line? And if you already have fishing line, wouldn't you have some other tackle with you too? And so it didn't really seem like this is something I'd ever need to do. And since I don't really use conventional tackle, nor do I plan on being stranded with only a beer and fishing line, I didn't think I had much use for this little survival tip. But then its impracticality got me thinking. My chosen fishing is perhaps the most impractical way to catch a fish. So today, I'm going to tie a survival fly using this beer can pull tab, and I'm going to call it the beer bugger. So first step is you have to get the actual pull tab off of the beer can, and that's the part that makes me most nervous. Now, I did see on a different place, they said if you turn it 180 degrees and lift up, that maybe it'll come right off. But if I break it, and I have to drink another beer to get another pull tab, because that's going to be the eye of the hook. So, oh, perfect. Came right off. So I'm going to be able to actually do this now with this one. Bend that back a little bit. The other thing I would suggest is not using your good fly tying scissors to cut it, because you have to make those cuts, very specific cuts, to actually make it into a hook. So I have some kitchen shears. I also have these old that came with like a starting kit that I never really used much, and actually thought I wouldn't like fly tying because I got that early on. To do this, now it looks like I have to make 3 cuts, and I'll try to show you right here. There's kind of a one up top to separate it, a diagonal one across here to make the hook, and then up here to flatten it out for the shank. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to try it with these old, I normally use these old scissors to cut like copper wire. All right, so I'm going to try to, okay. No, I'm going to try to use the kitchen shears. Started to get through, but didn't quite go through. And this is also why you don't want to use your good fly tying scissors, because you're going to definitely dull them down. My wife's probably not going to be too pleased I'm using these, but maybe she won't know. All right, then I'm going to cut up here. Woo! Lost my tab. All right, so that's 2 of the cuts. Now the last one comes right across here. All right. So that I want to make that a little sharper, that hook, because that doesn't seem too sharp. All right, now I've got some tweezers that I'm gonna kind of mash that straight. Yeah, that's a pretty sharp hook. And now I'm gonna try to bend this portion back, because it is not making the shank too good, too flat. This is kind of the basic platform there. I wish that was a little sharper. I can probably use some sandpaper or something later, kind of sharpen it. And then now I'm going to bend this back to be the eye of the hook. All right, so there we go. That's kind of a rudimentary hook. It's got, I'm going to put it in the vise. Tie it down. Let's see. Put it in the vise, lock it in. So you've got your hook, shank, and then the eye up there. May have trimmed a little too much off there. But we'll see how this goes. All right. So I've got some UTC 210 denier black thread. I've got some dark olive chenille. I've got a olive green marabou, some bugger grizzly hackle, and some crystal flash that I'm gonna throw in there. So let's see, I'm gonna start the thread on this. I'm gonna, I almost use a kitchen shears. Let's see. Cut that excess off. I'm gonna wrap it. I'm gonna try to kind of smooth the body out because of where I cut it. So there's gonna be some good amount, and you can see that tab is pretty flimsy. I don't know if this is my first time doing a survival hook like this, so I don't know if maybe it's I cut it too thin, but we'll find out if it works. Okay, so I'm gonna get some marabou. That looks good. I'll do about a tab's length. Throw that in the back there. Couple wraps to tighten it down. And then trim off the excess. And we're gonna kind of get that bushiness under control. All right. Now I am gonna tie in a couple of crystal flash strands. Let's take a couple of these. And I'll tie them in 2 on one side. Oh, that didn't work. Let's see. 1, 2 wraps there. Then I'll bend it over onto the other side. So it doubles back. A little bit of flash in there. And then I'll just trim the length. I like to leave the flash a little bit longer than the tail, just to get a little something sparkling behind it. And then, let's see, we're going to tie in this hackle feather back here. Kind of fan it out. And throw that on. And then finally, we're going to do the chenille. So this actually, I like the concept of this one because the chenille will kind of cover up some of those imperfections of the can's body there. The faux hook shank. All right, so I'm just going to tie that in. I normally strip off the edge of the chenille, but this is such a ridiculous concept as it is. Not too worried about it. So I'm going to now wrap it under, kind of cover up some of that in the back, doing some pretty bulky wraps on top of each other. There we go. I mean, look at that. That's not looking too bad. All right, I'm gonna do a few there, and then we wrap a few up top here. Snip that off. All right, now we're gonna do some hackle. I probably should have tied in some copper wire to hold this down, but I don't necessarily think this fly will last too long. If it does catch a fish, I don't imagine it being still usable after maybe 1, 2 at best, just because the aluminum is so thin. So I'm not worried about the hackle coming undone and me not being able to use this for 25 or 30 fish or something. But all right, I'm just gonna tie that down pretty well. Throw a half hitch in to hold my place while I get the whip finish tool out. And then there we go. 2, 3, 4, 5. Whip finished. And there we go. All right, so let's take a look at this. We've got the beer bugger fly. The eye is made from pull tab can. It's got a nice grizzly hackle there. Some olive marabou, olive chenille, some crystal flash. Honestly, this thing doesn't look too bad. I'm going to try to sharpen the hook point a little bit more and see if I can get a little sharper. Now, this also probably isn't the most humane hook because of how big that is, unless I can kind of file it down. It's probably not the most healthy, so I'm not going to use it in a river. I'll probably only use this in like a pond on some pond bluegill or something and see if it'll eat it. But I'm definitely going to try to fish it. I feel like even on my 3-weight, it's light enough with the aluminum. I could cast this with a 3-weight in a pond, strip it in, and someone will probably try to eat it. So that's it. That's the beer bugger survival fly. You can make this at home if you really want. It is kind of a neat party trick maybe, or fishing party trick of that. Maybe you do a tournament, go to a pond and say, hey, let's see who can catch the most fish on a beer bugger. But that is it. That is the survival fly, the most impractical fly you could fish with. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. Have you ever tried anything like this? Is this not a new idea? Have I not come up with the most ridiculous thing? Let me know. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time on the Whiskey Bugger.